What if your greatest power wasn't in your voice, but in your silence? What if your calm presence made enemies hesitate without you saying a word? And what if your stillness said more than any threat ever could? Welcome to Stoic Bridge, the bridge between ancient wisdom and modern life, guiding you through life's storms with calm and resilience. In this video, we'll uncover the silent yet formidable power that lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy. It's not about shouting to be heard or showing force to be respected. True power is often invisible. It's the kind that makes people pause when you enter a room. It's the calm strength that leaves enemies uncertain, not of what you said, but of what you might do. We're diving deep into 7 timeless strategies that will teach you how to master emotional control, cultivate an unreadable presence, and let your actions speak louder than words. Imagine walking into a room and commanding attention without saying a single word. Your silence becomes your strategy, and your stillness becomes your shield. Drawing from the wisdom of thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and modern real-life examples, you'll learn how to stop overreacting to insults, how to use mystery as a form of control, and how to make power moves quietly without inviting unnecessary judgment or resistance. In a noisy world filled with distraction and chaos, this kind of restraint and intention will set you apart. We'll show you why being emotionally unshakable makes people nervous, why the less others know about you, the harder it is to manipulate you, and why unapologetically being yourself is one of the boldest and most untouchable positions you can take. So, if you're tired of feeling underestimated, provoked, or constantly needing to explain yourself, this video is for you. It's time to embody silent strength, the kind that earns respect and instills fear without uttering a single word. Are you ready to become untouchable? Let's dive in. Number 1. Master your emotions. As we dive deeper into the strategies of silent power, let's begin with one of the most essential ways to gain control and command respect: mastering your emotions. This may sound simple on the surface, but in practice, it's one of the most difficult things you can do. When someone pushes your buttons, it's easy to react. Anger, frustration, defensiveness, they're all natural responses. But here's the truth: letting your emotions get the best of you only shows weakness. The moment you allow someone to provoke you into losing control, you've given them power over you. They've won. The real strength, however, lies in your ability to stay calm, composed, and unshaken, regardless of the chaos or insults thrown your way. Imagine being in the middle of a heated confrontation, and your opponent is trying everything they can to provoke you, but you remain silent, unaffected, that completely at peace. That's the kind of control that unsettles them the most. The fact that they can't manipulate you, can't make you react, forces them to question their own tactics. It's a silent victory. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism steps in. Marcus Aurelius, a great Stoic philosopher, once said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Think about that for a moment. Strength isn't about shouting the loudest or firing back with anger. It's about keeping your composure when everything around you seems to be falling apart. It's the ability to remain unflappable and unwavering in the face of provocation. That kind of inner peace is true power. Let me tell you about a man I know. Let's call him Thomas. Thomas worked with someone who consistently tried to provoke him. This person would undermine him, make sarcastic remarks, and even bait him into arguments. At first, Thomas would react, defending himself, trying to prove his point. But over time, he realized something crucial. Every time he reacted, he lost. His opponent gained control and he ended up feeling more frustrated. So Thomas made a choice. He decided he would no longer engage. The next time this person tried to provoke him, Thomas didn't flinch. He didn't argue, didn't defend himself. He stayed calm and indifferent. The result? His opponent was left frustrated and powerless because there was no reaction to feed off of. Over time, this person stopped trying to provoke him altogether. So how do you master your emotions like Thomas did? First, you need to recognize your triggers. Understand what sets you off and why. Awareness is the first step in regaining control. Once you know what provokes you, you can make a conscious decision not to react. Second, practice techniques like deep breathing or mindfulness, especially in tense moments. This will help you stay grounded and prevent your emotions from taking over in the heat of the moment. Lastly, remember that emotional control is a form of strength, not weakness. By not letting your emotions dictate your behavior, you keep the upper hand. At the end of the day, true strength isn't measured by how loud you can shout or how angry you can get. It's about how well you can control yourself. When you remain calm, composed, and collected, nothing and no one can touch you. In a world full of noise and chaos, your ability to stay calm will be what makes you untouchable. Now that we've covered mastering emotions, let's move on to another essential strategy that will help you solidify your unshakable presence. Let's talk about controlling your actions and the subtle power behind what you do, not just what you say. Number 2, maintain an unshakable presence. As we continue to explore the silent power that makes you untouchable, let's dive into the second key strategy, maintaining an unshakable presence. This is the kind of confidence that demands respect without ever asking for it. It's not loud, brash, or boastful. It's a quiet, almost invisible strength that speaks for itself. When you walk into a room with this kind of presence, it's felt before you even say a word. People may not know you yet, but they can sense that you are someone worth paying attention to. This type of presence isn't about arrogance or showing off. It's about deep self-assurance. You don't need to announce your worth because your presence already does the talking. Here's the reality. Confidence without arrogance is one of the most intimidating qualities you can possess. When you truly know who you are and what you bring to the table, you don't have to constantly prove it to others. You just are. Your energy, the way you carry yourself, your posture, it all communicates strength, calm, and purpose. You take up space in this world without hesitation, and people notice. When you stand tall, move with intention, and own your space, people naturally start to respect you. They can feel that you don't need their approval to feel good about yourself. Your presence alone commands respect without any need to demand it. And that is the silent power we're talking about. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism and Eastern philosophy can guide us. Lao Tzu once said, "Silence is a source of great strength." Let that sink in. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't to speak or act. It's to stand in silence, exuding confidence and control. Silence doesn't imply weakness. It reflects a deep inner strength. It shows that you are so sure of yourself, so grounded in who you are, that you don't need to fill every moment with words or gestures. Think of the person who walks into a room, calm and composed, not needing to raise their voice or make a grand entrance. That is the individual everyone gravitates toward. This is the real power of maintaining an unshakable presence. Let me share a story about someone I know. Let's call him Ethan. Ethan was always quiet in social settings. He wasn't the loudest person in the room, nor did he crave attention, but there was something magnetic about him. The way he carried himself, his posture straight, his movements deliberate, made people respect him without him having to say a single word. Whenever Ethan entered a conversation, people naturally quieted down, not because he told them to, but because they could feel the quiet strength in his presence. It wasn't forced. It was simply who he was. His presence commanded attention, but he never sought it. So, how do you begin to cultivate this unshakable presence? First, stand tall. Your posture is crucial in how you're perceived. Shoulders back, head high, stand with purpose. Second, move deliberately. Every step you take should have intention behind it. When you move with purpose, it signals that you're in control of your environment. Finally, embrace silence. Stop trying to impress people with words or grand gestures. Let your presence speak for itself. When you stop trying to prove your worth and simply exist with confidence, people will start to take notice. In the end, real strength doesn't lie in loud speeches or displays of power. It's in the quiet confidence that fills a room without uttering a single word. When you walk into a space, let your presence speak for itself. Stand tall, control your space, and watch as the world respects you, effortlessly. Now that we've explored how to master your presence, let's move on to another key principle that will elevate your ability to influence: how to make your actions speak louder than your words. Number 3, let your actions speak. Now that we've talked about mastering your emotions and maintaining an unshakable presence, let's move on to another critical strategy: letting your actions speak for you. In a world filled with empty promises and endless chatter, it's easy to get caught up in talking about what you plan to do, what you'll achieve, or how great your ideas are. But here's the reality: words are cheap. What truly matters, the only thing that holds real weight, is what you do, not what you say. Your true strength, value, and character are revealed through your actions. The best way to show the world who you are is by consistently living out your values, rather than merely talking about them. When you focus on action, you stop needing to explain yourself. Your discipline, your resilience, and your commitment to excellence become the loudest message you send. Actions don't require validation. They are their own proof. When you remain consistent, showing your strength through perseverance and focus, the world can't help but notice. People won't remember the excuses or promises you made. They'll remember what you accomplished. And the most powerful part? Your actions will always speak louder than words ever could. You'll earn respect, not because of your promises, but because of the results you deliver. This is where Stoic wisdom comes into play. The Stoics understood the power of action over words. They knew that true character is built through consistent discipline and resilience. The more you show up and deliver on your commitments, the more others will recognize your true worth. Words may be manipulated, forgotten, or distorted, but your actions remain undeniable. They are the truest reflection of who you really are. Let me tell you a story about a man I know. Let's call him Jack. Jack was always talking about his dreams, sharing his grand plans with everyone around him, and painting a picture of his future success. But for months, he didn't take any real steps toward achieving those goals. He realized that people were no longer taking him seriously. They were tired of hearing about his aspirations and weren't impressed by his words anymore. One day, Jack decided to change his approach. Instead of talking about what he was going to do, he started doing it. Day by day, he put in the work. He showed up with consistency, worked hard, and proved his dedication. Slowly but surely, people began to notice. His actions began to speak louder than his words ever had, and his success started to follow. So, how can you let your actions speak for you? First, focus on consistency. Consistent effort in the right direction, even with small steps, always leads to progress. Second, pursue excellence in everything you do. Don't settle for doing the bare minimum. Strive to give your best, and your results will reflect that commitment. Third, build resilience. Life will present challenges, but the more you push through, the more your strength will shine. At the end of the day, what you do will always matter more than what you say. Your actions will prove your strength, discipline, and character. So stop talking about what you'll do. Show it. Let your actions speak for themselves. And let them do the talking. If you found this valuable, hit like and subscribe for more powerful insights. Now let's move on to another crucial strategy, using silence as a powerful tool to maintain control and assert your strength. Number 4, never overreact to insults. As we continue to explore the silent power that commands respect, let's move on to a crucial principle, never overreacting to insults. This is one of the most effective tools for maintaining control over your emotions and preserving your dignity in difficult situations. When someone insults you, the natural instinct is to defend yourself, retaliate, or prove that their words are false. But here's the hard truth. When you respond emotionally, you give power to your opponent. Each time you react with anger or frustration, you surrender your peace and let them control your emotions. They know exactly how to push your buttons because you've allowed them to see your weak spots. But here's the secret. Indifference is one of the most powerful responses you can offer. When you choose not to overreact, when you show no emotional response to their insult, you regain control of the situation. Your indifference forces them to question their own significance. They'll wonder why their words don't affect you, why they can't provoke a reaction. And in that moment, you've already won. You've taken away their ability to control your emotions, leaving them powerless. The more you remain calm, the more you show that their opinion holds no weight. The best part? It frustrates them because they can't get the rise they were hoping for. This is where Stoic wisdom comes into play. The Stoics taught that our emotional state is within our control, not determined by the actions of others. Epictetus, for example, believed that the opinions and actions of others are beyond our control, and reacting emotionally only disturbs our peace. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you learn to master your responses, you maintain your inner peace and stand above the chaos. Let me share a story about a woman I know. Let's call her Linda. Linda was constantly insulted by a colleague at work. This person would make sarcastic remarks, undermine her in meetings, and even gossip about her behind her back. At first, Linda would react emotionally, defending herself or trying to explain. But each time she did, it only made the situation worse. Her colleague became bolder and the insults continued. Then, Linda realized something crucial. Every time she reacted, she was handing control over her emotions to this person. So she made a decision to change her approach. The next time she was insulted, Linda remained calm and indifferent. She didn't react, didn't defend herself. And do you know what happened? Her colleague stopped. The power dynamic shifted, and Linda's calmness left the other person questioning their actions. So, how do you avoid overreacting to insults? First, practice self-awareness. When someone insults you, take a moment to breathe and assess the situation before reacting. Don't rush into a response. Second, control your emotional response. The moment you allow someone to trigger you emotionally, you've lost control. And finally, embrace indifference. Not every insult requires a response. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words ever could. In the end, the greatest power lies in your ability to remain unaffected by insults. Don't let someone else's words dictate how you feel. Respond with indifference and watch how quickly they lose their power over you. Now that we've explored the power of indifference, let's look at another strategy that can elevate your strength. How to harness the power of silence to command respect and assert control. Number 5, control what they know about you. Now that we've discussed the power of indifference and emotional control, let's move on to another key strategy: controlling what others know about you. In a world where people are constantly observing and analyzing you, it's easy to reveal more than you should. Whether it's your weaknesses, your goals, or your insecurities, the more predictable you are, the easier it becomes for others to manipulate or undermine you. The secret to maintaining control over your life is to keep an air of mystery. By controlling the information others have access to, you make it harder for anyone to predict your next move, and that takes away their power over you. Here's the truth: the less predictable you are, the harder it is for others to manipulate or control you. If people know exactly how you'll react, what triggers you, or what you want, they can use that information to their advantage. But when you control what they know about you, you make it much more difficult for anyone to exploit your vulnerabilities. This doesn't mean you need to be deceptive or dishonest. It means you don't have to share everything with everyone. By keeping some things to yourself, you protect your peace and ensure that no one can push you into decisions that you're not comfortable with. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. Think about that for a moment. True strength lies in your ability to control what you reveal to others. If you are constantly open and transparent, people will know exactly where to strike. But when you withhold some of your thoughts, plans, and weaknesses, you make it much harder for others to gain an upper hand. By being unpredictable, you become a challenge for anyone who might try to manipulate or take advantage of you. Let me share a story. A man I know, let's call him Chris, was always open with his coworkers about his personal life, his goals, and his struggles. He believed that being transparent would help him build trust. But over time, he realized his openness had made him vulnerable. His colleagues started using the information he shared against him in subtle ways. For example, if Chris mentioned he was struggling with a project, they'd find ways to use that against him, questioning his abilities or piling on more pressure. He realized that by sharing too much, he had given others the chance to undermine him. So he changed his approach. He stopped revealing everything about himself and kept his personal struggles and weaknesses to himself. The result? People started respecting him more because they couldn't predict his every move or reaction. His unpredictability took away their ability to use his weaknesses against him. So, how do you control what others know about you? First, be mindful of what you share. Not everyone needs to know your deepest thoughts or vulnerabilities. Second, embrace mystery. The more unpredictable you are, the harder it becomes for people to use your information against you. And finally, use your strength strategically. Show your strength when it's needed, and appear vulnerable when it helps you maintain control. At the end of the day, the less others know about you, the more power you have over them. Protect your inner world, keep some things to yourself, and watch how much harder it becomes for anyone to manipulate or undermine you. Control your narrative and remain unpredictable, because true strength lies in mystery. If you've made it this far, don't forget to leave a comment with a thank God and give it a like if you found the content valuable. Your support means a lot and motivates me to keep creating insightful videos. Let's continue learning and growing together. Thank you for your support. Now let's move on to another powerful strategy: how to maintain control over your environment and not let external forces influence your peace. Number 6. Make power moves in silence. As we continue our journey into mastering silent power, let's now focus on one of the most strategic ways to protect your success: making power moves in silence. In a world where everyone is eager to announce their plans and share their next big move, there is something incredibly powerful about keeping your ambitions private. When you openly talk about your next steps, you give others a chance to interfere, criticize, or even sabotage your progress. But when you choose to work in silence, your actions become the loudest message you send, and your results are the true testament to your ability. Here's the truth. The moment you announce your next step, you give others a chance to stop you. The more you talk about what you're going to do, the more you invite opinions, judgments, and distractions. People might offer unsolicited advice, doubt your abilities, or unintentionally act as roadblocks. By keeping your ambitions to yourself, you take away their power to influence your path. You become a force that's difficult to stop because no one knows what you're doing until the results speak for themselves. The less noise you make, the more progress you can make without anyone trying to disrupt your flow. This is where Stoic wisdom can guide you. Epictetus once said, "Do not explain your philosophy, embody it." In other words, your actions should be the evidence of who you are and what you stand for. You don't need to justify or explain your journey. Let your results do the talking. The more you embody your vision through your actions, the less you need to say. People will see your commitment, discipline, and resilience through your progress. And when they see the results, they'll understand exactly who you are and what you're capable of. Let me share a story about a woman I know. Let's call her Emma. Emma was the type of person who would announce her goals, talk about her plans, and share every idea with her friends and colleagues. At first, it felt exciting to share her vision with everyone. But over time, she realized something important. The more she talked about what she was going to do, the more obstacles appeared. People would doubt her, offer unsolicited advice, or question her decisions. As she listened to others, her confidence began to waver. So, Emma decided to change her approach. She stopped announcing her next steps. Instead, she kept her goals private and focused solely on her work. She let her actions do the talking. The result? When she achieved her goals, no one could argue with the success she had quietly built. So how do you make power moves in silence? First, keep your plans to yourself. Announcing your next step only invites unnecessary distractions. Let your results speak for themselves. Second, stay focused. Stop talking about what you're going to do and focus on what you're actually doing. And finally, let your results be your proof. People will notice your dedication, your progress, and your success without you having to utter a single word. At the end of the day, true power is in what you do, not what you say. By making power moves in silence and letting your results speak for you, you show the world your strength without ever needing to explain it. Keep your ambitions private and watch how your success becomes the loudest statement you can make. Now that we've explored how to make power moves in silence, let's look at another powerful strategy for protecting your peace: controlling your environment and keeping negativity at bay. Number 7, be unapologetically yourself. As we've seen with the power of silence and the strength of controlling your path, let's dive into another key to living an unstoppable life: being unapologetically yourself. In a world where so many people are trying to blend in, fit the mold, and seek validation from others, there is something incredibly liberating about standing firm and embracing who you truly are. When you stop pretending to be something you're not and stop seeking approval from others, you begin to earn a level of respect and admiration that others simply can't comprehend. People fear those who are unapologetically themselves because they are untouchable. Here's the truth. When you stop trying to fit in, you become truly free. By embracing your authenticity and letting go of the need to impress or seek approval, you shift the power dynamic. You no longer live to please anyone but yourself. That shift is profound. It makes you stand out. People will respect you not because you conform to their expectations, but because you are unapologetically yourself. The individuals who truly matter will admire you for your uniqueness, while those who can't handle your authenticity will fade into the background. Either way, you win. By being yourself, you stop allowing others to define you. You take control and define yourself, and that's where true strength lies. This is where Stoic wisdom can be a powerful guide. The Stoics believed in embracing one's true nature and living in alignment with virtue, regardless of what others think. They understood that seeking approval from others traps us in a cycle of dependence and robs us of true peace and independence. When you stop trying to fit in, you break free from being a slave to the opinions of others. You begin to live according to your own values, which creates a sense of inner freedom that no one can take away from you. Let me share a story. A man I know, let's call him Jake, was always trying to fit in. He adjusted his behavior to match those around him, laughed at jokes he didn't find funny, and downplayed his own achievements just to avoid standing out. But over time, Jake began to feel drained and disconnected. He realized that by constantly seeking approval, he had lost sight of who he truly was. So Jake made a powerful decision. He would stop pretending. He started speaking his mind, standing up for his beliefs, and no longer caring if others agreed with him. The moment he stopped seeking approval, something remarkable happened. People started respecting him more. They admired his authenticity, his confidence, and his unwavering stance on what he believed. The best part? Jake no longer needed to hide behind a mask to feel accepted. So how do you become unapologetically yourself? First, stop seeking validation from others. You don't need anyone's approval to be who you are. Second, embrace your uniqueness. The things that make you different are your greatest strengths. Don't be afraid to let them shine. And finally, live by your own standards, not by the standards set by others. When you begin living authentically, your life will reflect the true essence of who you are, and nothing will stand in your way. At the end of the day, when you stop trying to fit in, you break free from the limitations set by others' expectations. Be unapologetically yourself, and you'll become untouchable. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you've learned to live in your own power. Own who you are, and watch how the world begins to respect you for it. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with others, and click the bell icon so you won't miss more powerful insights. And of course, subscribe to stay connected for more content like this. Thank you for your support, and let's continue this journey of growth together.